Hey y'all, it is April 2nd. This is the state of Nativewind. I am just going to make sure everything's all good as usual. Looks like we are all set. Yep. Okay. So today I'll be going over a couple of updates and then our broader roadmap, which I've finalized. And we'll be updating what things have made it into this week's release, which I will then cut once this is over. So looking at that, first things worth noting, go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So first things worth noting is that we have finally hit 800K downloads per week, for which I will post on Twitter. The goal is 1 million per week by end of May for that bet with Yatsik. Then another thing is if we go over to the projects, the roadmap is finally completely filled out. So now I have this sort of breakdown where all of the to-do items across Nativewind, React Native CSS, whether it's Nativewind version 4 or version 5, are all in this to-do list. And I just sort of knock them out one by one. As I get those done, they sort of move into this ready for release column. And let me check one more thing. I got to check that the audio stuff is all good. Yes. Okay, cool. So as I was saying, as I move through the issues one by one in this to-do column, assuming there are no blockers by the author, they move into this ready for release thing. And so anything that's in ready for release is in the nightly builds, but not yet in a like patch or minor release version. Once that is cut, all of these move into the done column. So if at any point you're curious, like, oh, why maybe is this thing that I'm having trouble with or a feature says it's done, the issue is like, I don't know, the PR is closed or something, but I'm not seeing it. It's because the version hasn't been cut yet. If you want to see it, you can just use the @nightly version. And at this point, we'll smoothly be just rolling out a new patch version like once a week and progressively moving through this list. I honestly anticipate that most of this to-do list is largely just outdated stuff or otherwise like duplicate stuff. So I anticipate moving through the Nativewind, like the Nativewind repository issues pretty quickly. And then I'll move largely into just focusing on the React Native CSS stuff because that's just where the meat and potatoes of everything kind of lives. Yeah, then this is the last update I'll have coming from Argentina. As of Saturday morning, I'll be back in LA. So starting next week, then we'll be back to the regular time on Wednesdays at 2:30 Pacific time. And by that point, I expect that this list will be substantially lower. And I've largely gotten through, I'll go through the actual items that I've introduced So I got a lot of feedback about, what was it? Dynamic theming, I believe. And let me make sure that I'm sharing the correct page here. Give me a second. Yeah. So I got a bunch of feedback about dynamic theming. We had the dark mode thing up, the guide for that, but it's different in with respect to setting a dynamic theme, especially with version 5. And so people are just getting confused because they would have to like reverse engineer how that worked. So I went through and updated the documentation for that accordingly. So you should be all good now. If there are any issues, please surface them. And there's also a little bit thing here from like migrating from version 4. I know that the GlueStack folks, the Geeky Ants guys, were talking about this. So now there's a guide about that, but always looking to make it better. If you feel that there's an opportunity to do so, just flag it. Oh, and then also, obviously, if you have any questions or whatever, just feel free to shoot them in the chat. If not during this stream, then you can DM me on Twitter. I think that's pretty much the primary way to reach out. Yeah, we have the Ronin community, but like I would recommend Twitter DMs are probably the most constructive way. There are still all the skills. Okay, so for my part, I introduced a skill for reviewing issues for Nativewind. And that's helped a ton in just sort of like, it'll go through, it checks to see what specific repo it pertains to, what version of Nativewind it pertains to. It'll recreate or attempt to reproduce the issue. And assuming it still is an issue, then I actually go into debugging it. Super useful. On the part of the user, there is still the triaging tool that you can, like the debugging tool that you can use. I should probably publish those skills on whatever, like skills.sh. I am not really familiar with publishing skills yet, but yeah, that's something I'll probably look into this week. This issue is causing folks some concerns. Let me see if I'm streaming the correct window. No, I need to change that. Let's see. Actually, I guess I can just kind of do this. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this inline RAM issue is causing some problems. Once again, it's in the ready for release, so it's in the nightlies, but it's not available in a patch release version yet. I'll put that out later today. So people were basically wanting to change the inline RAM, which like affects how much space is like provided by default on like when you pass in a RAM value, and they would do it the way it's documented, that you would change that and it wouldn't do anything. And so that was actually like a genuine bug, which I realized at first I thought it was something else. Then I realized it's an actual problem. So I just basically introduced a simple like regex thing that looks for that specific thing at the root, and now it picks it up. So more advanced configurations are going to be like a not quite picked up, but I'll introduce a different, like a better general way to do that. I wanted to make sure that the solution that I implement now doesn't have any performance overhead. So this doesn't. This approach is simple, it's quick, and it just like deals with like over 90% of the situations that folks are bringing up. So so that'll be out in the next patch release. What else? We have some more shadow stuff. I see some like repeat issues being opened up about shadow stuff not working, but again, it's just because the version's not out. So that I'll close some of those up today. And then as far as what I'm digging into next, honestly, I just want to kind of close out some of these like duplicate ones. I wanted to look into this carrot thing, but the SVG, like advanced SVG usage, is probably the thing that most people would want to see implemented in version 5, that is. Currently, basic SVG styling via utility classes is supported, but like the more intricate stuff is not. So rounding that out with full support is, I mean, it's something folks want. So I'll knock that out. And if I'm lucky, I can knock out damn near all of these issues. I also have some great open source community folks who've been helping in, especially like while I'm traveling. That's been like super helpful. I'm hoping that between the like Claude.md, the development.md, the contributing markdown file, and this like roadmap, that anyone who wants to help can pretty quickly like pick up an issue and just get rolling with it, whether you know, individually, manually, or using LLMs. So given it's a fairly complex system, I'd recommend initially going at it with an LLM. I know it can be a little weird to open up a PR into a place you're not super familiar with using LLM stuff, but I'm pretty familiar with it at this point. So at the very least, I'll take a look at your stuff. I would recommend you just take some time and have the LLM explain to you how some of these like disparate parts work together. But it's not strictly necessary to contribute to the project. So yeah, that's largely what we've got going on. Not a ton of stuff. All of the issues like that we're dealing with here are pretty minor things. We're dealing with mostly just like stability, smoothing out the edges type of stuff, and rounding out the stuff that Mark just didn't have time to finish up. On that note, Mark did reach out to me via email. So he's sort of coming back to things, but I'll still be leading the charge on Nativewind stuff now and still through app.js, which is May 26th. So yeah, that's still very much the plan. Once I am through that list that I showed you in the roadmap, let me see if I can. Oh, can I just like share this specific screen? It's not really showing me how I can do that. So I'm just going to go do this. Yeah. So once I'm through this list, I'm basically just going to go through to Nativewind UI and, you know, migrate it to version 5. At which point, assuming no, you know, issues, I will move version 5 to be the latest release on GitHub, and folks will still obviously be able to use version 4 of Nativewind. That will both have the dedicated tags that exist today, as well as any updates that are sort of like maintenance mode moving forward. So like any like minor bug fixes that need to happen, that kind of thing. But to my knowledge, it's pretty solid at the moment. So I can't imagine that's going to be very much stuff. And most people want to use Tailwind version 4 anyways. But yeah, so, Nativewind v5 has been in preview for quite some time. There's been plenty of time to review migration guides and differences and even play around with it. So I think the transition to it as the de facto way of using Nativewind will be decently smooth. I don't really foresee many issues there. Yeah. And like I said, if you have any issues, any questions about features, what is or won't be included kind of thing, feel free to reach out. I wanted to thank my boy. Hold on, I'm gonna look up his name because I forget it every time. But he's the absolute goat. Let me see here. We'll go straight to Nativewind. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? My God. So in the meantime, I'll shout out to Mino, I believe is how you pronounce his name, Design. He's been doing really gorgeous stuff with, I share it on the Nativewind CSS Twitter. If you want to see some cool stuff that's possible with Nativewind, you can just go and look there. His stuff is really cool and very beautiful, well handled. Evgeny Coturlo he's just been really solid about getting the shadow stuff supported. So big shout out to him. I hope he continues to, push through some of the stuff in the roadmap. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Appreciate you guys stopping by. I'll catch you guys next week in the US, and it'll only be a couple more weeks after that to app.js. So if you're around there, feel free to come up to me. I'll be the guy wearing a tracksuit, hopefully this time custom embroidered. Zach will also be there. Zach and I both, Zach Nugent, he is responsible for React Native Reusables, and we both built Nativewind UI together. So we'll both be wearing the tracksuits. Feel free to come up to us. We'd love to chat with you and see what you've built using the tools. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll catch you there. Until next time, y'all, catch you next week. See ya.